How's it going, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about salary expectations as a junior developer. So if you're just starting out in software or you're about to take your first job, figuring out what you should expect to get as a salary can be a difficult task. And a lot of times when you go online, you see these like massive ranges of salaries, like anywhere from 40 to 100 grand, depending on what state you live in. So it's a little intimidating at first to think what you can expect to get as an offer. And I know that depends on what state you live in, and California is like 120 grand, entry level, whereas like Florida here is like 60. So just keep that in mind, obviously depends on what state. But I want to look at a few resources now, and I'm going to link these all in the description so you can check them out. The first one I want to look at now is the Stack Overflow salary calculator. And as much as I look at Stack Overflow like every day, I had no idea that there was a salary calculator right at the bottom here. So if you click that, you'll be taken to this page here. So I'm going to fill this out for me, and let's see what I get. So I am a full stack developer. I'm in Florida. I have a bachelor's degree. I have 2 years experience, and I use C#. What else we got here? I use .NET and JavaScript front end. So JavaScript. I'll just leave it at that, I guess, and calculate salary. So I guess that's what I can expect. So, but the cool thing about this whole thing here is it's based off of the developer survey results. So it's based off of what people submit as their salary. So at least in my opinion, it seems like it would be pretty credible, because that's a pretty incredible survey that they do every year, and they get tens of thousands of people who take the survey. So it's pretty. I would imagine that there's a lot of data behind all this. So this is what I can expect to get, and so just play around with that and at least get a number in your head. But the nice thing about this is you can narrow it down by technology, location, and everything like that. Now, you do have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. Like you shouldn't expect to, with 2 years, get an offer in Florida for 115. That's a phenomenal salary. You have to have some pretty good negotiation skills, I think, on that one. The next thing I wanted to look at, which is an important part of, or an important thing to consider when you're thinking about salary, when you're negotiating salary, when you're considering, if the company offers a bonus or if they offer kind of an annual raise, you need to take in consideration inflation. Because when I started out as a software developer, I was making $55,000. And let's keep it at 2018. That's just what it was set at. I'll change it and then to go 2019. So in a year, $55,000 is the same buying power as $57,000. So if you're not getting a raise of at least $2,000 on top of your salary, you are losing money from what you were making. Even if you get a 5% raise, you have to pretty much go ahead and deduct 2.5%, which has been the nationwide average for inflation for the past few years. So really, you're not getting a raise of 5%. You're getting a raise of 2.5%, because the 2.5 is just offsetting what you were making, or to keep making what you were making last year. So this is an important aspect, because you really have to take that into consideration, because inflation is a very real thing, and it can fluctuate. That's you have to take that into consideration too. It's been a lot higher than 2.5%, but it's also been lower. But right now it hovers around 2.5%. So you have to factor that in, every year in your job. If you're not getting an annual raise, you're losing money. You're not making the same you made last year. So just something to consider, and something to consider when you take, what your base salary will be. I'll link this in the description below, though. So the next thing I wanted to look at here is, again, on the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. I just want to see a nationwide kind of scale of what developers are making. So we see on here the median annual wage as of May 2019 for software devs is 107, and then I guess they have it broken up to software and web developers. So anywhere from 102 to 107 as the median nationwide. So again, that's just the median, and that's nationwide. Another thing I wanted to look at as well is from May of 2018. I wanted to see national estimates for software development, and this breaks it down by hourly wage, annual wage, and it breaks it up into percentiles here, which is helpful to see. So it looks like the mean annual wage is 108,000, and then the percentiles. So if you're at the 10th percentile, you're making about 61, and then at the highest, this is going to be 161,000. And I would assume, my assumption would be that this would correlate with years experience, would be my guess. So I would put anywhere around 2 years experience at the 10 to 25 mark, obviously depending on what state you live in, and then anything kind of above 2 years I would start to kick over at the 50th percentile. But that's just my guess. And what's interesting too, there was a lot of developers hired or working as a software developer in 2018. I don't know what the number is now. I would assume it's gone up, but that's a pretty high number. But then the next thing also they have too is they break it down by state. So the annual mean wage. So for me in Florida, is that what color blue is that? Is that, I'm like colorblind here. It's one of those, I can't tell. So it's either going to be 87 to 95 or 96 to 105. Regardless, this is helpful to whatever state you live in to at least get a range. So as you can see, California is going to be crazy high. Same with New York and Washington. Those are going to be very high paying states because the cost of living is crazy there. But yeah, so those are just some resources that I wanted to share. I hope they're helpful. I wish I used some of these when I was looking for my first job a while back. But again, I hope that they're helpful, at least for you to get kind of a base or like a reasonable expectation of what you can make. And I feel like they're trustworthy sources because it was the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and also the Stack Overflow developer survey. And I would consider that to be a pretty credible resource, just one based off how many developers submit responses. I think one year they had like 90,000 responses, and that's a lot of developers. And that's what we saw about a tenth of the entire U.S. workforce of developers. And I know that's across the world, but it still is interesting nonetheless. But yeah, I hope this is helpful at all. If you have any comments or thoughts about it, or if you don't think that it's credible, or if you have had any other experiences, let me know in the comments. If you also want to see any other video content on software development, or if you have any other ideas that you want to see me talk about as a software developer, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm going to be making a lot more videos this year. I have a lot of plans this year for YouTube. I have a lot of goals. I'm going to make a video about explaining my YouTube goals, I think, here soon. But yeah, anyway, if you've subscribed, I really appreciate it. Definitely click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway, thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate it, and have a good day.